There exist corners of our world that appear built to challenge the limits of both human will and mechanical power. Regions where blinding snow conceals hidden dangers, where the cold slices sharper than steel, and silence shatters only beneath the iron growl of engines daring the impossible. If a jeep on a rocky slope ever amazed you, prepare yourself. Today, we venture into the Arctic and skim Antarctica's frozen edges aboard colossal ice titans. Have you ever imagined a machine that can crawl for kilometers across loose snow? That can blaze tracks over frozen seas and endure in places where even helicopters won't descend? Some of these giants emerged from survival's demand, others from humanity's obsession to dominate the indomitable. Yet all share one truth. They are so scarce, so extreme, and so incredible that odds are you've never seen them before. Ready to uncover the mightiest off-road expedition vehicles engineered for Earth's cruelest frontiers? Stay with me, because the final entry will leave you speechless. Nodwell 110. Debuting in the late 1950s, the Nodwell 110 was a Canadian creation. It came from the mind of engineer Bruce Nodwell, who looked at the frozen north not as a barrier but as an opportunity for engineering breakthroughs. He understood that ordinary trucks couldn't cope with swampy, icy terrain, so he built something entirely new. A tracked carrier designed to travel where nothing else dared. Powered by a V8 engine displacing 391 cubic inches over 6 liters, it generated around 200 horsepower. That may seem modest by modern standards, but raw speed wasn't its mission. Its strength lay in traction and adaptability. Wide tracks spread its weight across the surface, letting it skim over soft snow without sinking. Rugged suspension absorbed punishing impacts in the cold. And with permanent track drive applying torque to both sides, the Nodwell 110 simply kept moving in the harshest conditions. Its appearance. Imagine a compact bulldozer rolling on tracks. Yet its influence was enormous. The thunder of the V8 mixed with the metallic rattle of its treads gave it an almost science fiction aura in the Arctic wilderness. Industry quickly adopted it for oil exploration, maintaining telegraph lines, hauling gear, and supporting scientific missions. Even today, restored units can still be spotted in Alaska and northern Canada. Some were cleverly modified with cranes, fuel tanks, or even sleeper cabins for long journeys far from civilization. And remarkably, this was only the start. If the Nodwell has already grabbed your attention, just wait until you see what comes next. Avtoros Shaman 8Z. Unveiled in Russia during the 2010s, the Avtoros Shaman is the textbook definition of excess on wheels. Imagine every off-road concept you've ever seen thrown into a blender and the result rolling out with 8 colossal tires, each one ready to crush, climb, and crawl over whatever stands in the way. Produced by Avtoros, a Russian company specializing in extreme all-terrain machines, the Shaman was engineered specifically for the merciless landscapes of Siberia, frozen rivers, endless tundra, swampy plains, and that makes it more than qualified for Arctic duty. At its heart is a 3.0-liter inline-4 diesel producing around 146 horsepower. On paper, those numbers don't scream power, but the Shaman's brilliance is in its engineering. Its 8A drivetrain allows 3 distinct steering modes: standard front-wheel steering, crab mode, where all 8 wheels rotate sideways in unison, and full off-road mode, which locks in maximum traction across every tire. Each wheel is mounted on independent suspension, keeping the vehicle stable and balanced even when crawling over jagged rocks, frozen ridges, or half-submerged swamps. Pair that with ultra-low pressure tires that spread weight evenly, and the Shaman can glide across snow or float through water like a mechanized beast built for survival. Its body looks futuristic, something between a tank, a military landing craft, and a lunar rover. Inside, it's just as versatile. The cabin can be customized for passenger transport, but many buyers convert it into full expedition living quarters with bunks, storage, a compact kitchen, and survival gear. One configuration even includes heating systems and filtered air circulation, letting explorers endure weeks cut off from civilization. In use, the Shaman has seen it all. From scientific expeditions in Siberia to rescue missions in flooded Russian provinces, and even as a billionaire's toy tricked out with leather seats, luxury amenities, and satellite communications. One eccentric owner even commissioned a bulletproof shaman to cross Iceland's frozen volcanic deserts, proving this monster can be tailored for almost any mission, whether it's survival, science, or sheer indulgence. And if 8 wheels already feels like something out of science fiction, you'd better hold on to your seat. Because the next machine looks less like a truck and more like something salvaged from a futuristic space rescue operation. ZIL 4906. This machine is pure Soviet nostalgia wrapped in a sci-fi silhouette. The ZIL 4906, born in the 1970s during the height of the Cold War, was no ordinary vehicle. It was part of a top-secret military and aerospace recovery program. Its mission? To locate and rescue cosmonauts who had just fallen back to Earth, sometimes landing hundreds of kilometers from civilization. That explains why it looks less like a truck and more like a submarine on wheels, because in many ways, that's exactly what it was. Designed by ZIL, one of the Soviet Union's engineering giants, the 4906 carried a monstrous 7-liter V8 diesel pumping out about 240 horsepower. But the wildest part wasn't the engine, it was the fact that this beast could swim. With a fully sealed hull and 2 rear propellers, the ZIL 4906 could float across rivers, lakes, and even half-frozen swamps. Its 4-wheel drive, paired with heavy-duty suspension, meant it could handle brutal terrain before calmly slipping into the water as if nothing changed. The vehicle wasn't just about moving, it was about saving lives. Inside, it could haul stretchers, medical gear, and emergency supplies. Some were fitted with cranes to lift capsules or equipment out of the snow. Painted in bright orange, with a rounded nose and wide body, the ZIL was designed to stand out, visible even in a blizzard or on a desolate ice plain. Watching it in motion was like seeing a Cold War fever dream, oversized tires clawing through snow while its diesel V8 thundered across the tundra, sounding like something from a spy thriller soundtrack. And it wasn't just a prototype. These vehicles were actually deployed. Reports confirm some ZIL 4906s were still operating well into the 1990s, repurposed for Arctic science missions and extreme logistics work. Today, surviving examples are prized as relics of Soviet ingenuity, strange hybrids of military hardware and space-age design. A true time capsule on wheels, the ZIL 4906 reminds us how far human imagination can go when the mission is survival. And if you think this is extreme, stay tuned, the next machine makes even this floating Soviet giant look tame. 6345 Arctic Truck. If there's one name that has become synonymous with durability in the harshest frozen environments, it's KAMAZ. Known worldwide for conquering the Dakar Rally multiple times, this Russian manufacturer didn't just prove itself in competition, it used that hard-earned expertise to engineer vehicles capable of surviving where nature seems designed to destroy them. Out of this philosophy came the KAMAZ 6345 Arctic Truck, a modern titan created for conditions most machines would never dare face. This behemoth was engineered to function in temperatures as low as 60 C, a level of cold that can freeze fuel lines, shatter steel, and stop an ordinary engine in seconds. At its core lies an 11-liter V8 turbo diesel engine, pumping out a mighty 450 horsepower. On paper, it's a powerhouse, but in practice, it's much more a lifeline in some of the most unforgiving landscapes on Earth. Every part of the 6345 was overbuilt for survival. Its heavy-duty suspension uses reinforced springs and high-resistance shock absorbers, designed to absorb the bone-rattling impacts of driving across endless ice ridges and frozen tundra. A 6x6 drivetrain claws into slippery surfaces, while ultra-wide tires spread its enormous weight evenly, letting it roll across soft snow without sinking. Even the tires themselves are fitted with systems that allow for pressure adjustments mid-drive, adapting instantly to ice, snow, or rocky ground. Visually, the Arctic Truck is commanding. Its elevated cab provides a panoramic view of blinding white horizons, oversized snow deflectors keep ice from clogging the grille, and floodlight-strength headlights cut through even the darkest polar storms. The sheer scale of its wheels alone makes it look less like a truck and more like a rolling fortress. When it starts up, the deep growl of its V8 doesn't just sound like power, it feels like the voice of survival itself, reverberating through the frozen silence. But the genius lies not just in its brute strength, but in its attention to detail. The truck was equipped with dual heating systems, one dedicated to keeping the driver alive and comfortable, and another designed solely to prevent the dashboard and critical electronics from freezing solid. That single feature speaks volumes about the environment it was designed for, where even simple controls risked turning brittle and useless in the cold. The Kamaz Arctic truck wasn't built to be flashy, it was built to be indispensable. Its primary role is transporting heavy cargo, fuel, communications towers, and even prefabricated shelters to remote Arctic research bases, missions where failure is simply not an option. In regions with no backup, no roads, and no margin for error, this truck isn't just a vehicle. It's survival on 6 wheels. And if you think this iron giant is heavy duty, brace yourself, the next machine on our list looks like it was engineered to move mountains of snow all on its own. Crest AHT 730C. You've probably seen oversized machinery before, massive dump trucks at quarries or mining haulers the size of houses, but the Crest AHT 730C exists in a league of its own. Originally designed in the United States for hauling unimaginably heavy loads in large-scale mining operations, it later found an unlikely second life in the frozen north. Canada's Arctic regions and remote Alaskan bases quickly realized that its sheer size and power gave it a strategic edge in environments where smaller machines simply froze, failed, or sank. At its heart beats a monstrous V12 engine, nearly 32 liters in displacement, churning out an incredible 1,500 horsepower. Yes, 32 liters. That's the kind of power you'd expect from a locomotive, and indeed, it has enough force to push something close to a freight train. The AHT 730C is articulated, bending at the midsection to make sharp turns despite its scale. It's supported by hydraulic suspension and 4 massive driven wheels at the rear, a configuration that allows its 100-ton bulk empty to move with surprising stability even across icy ground. Fully loaded with containers, prefabricated shelters, or industrial equipment, it remains balanced thanks to its ultra-low center of gravity. The visuals are unforgettable. The cab sits off to one side, giving it an asymmetrical, almost alien profile. Its tank-like wheels dwarf a person, while the reinforced frame looks more like a mobile fortress than a truck. When the engine roars to life, the sound falls somewhere between a jet turbine and rolling thunder, and when it begins to crawl forward, the earth beneath you trembles as if a minor quake has started. Interestingly, the Crest AHT 730C was never intended as a snow vehicle. But Arctic industries desperate for ultra-rugged transport pressed it into service anyway. Its unmatched strength allowed it to do jobs that bordered on impossible. One company even used it to build temporary ice roads across frozen lakes, carefully distributing its colossal weight while carrying the materials to lay the route in operation, demanding both raw muscle and delicate precision. Today, the AHT 730C stands as one of those rare machines that blur the line between industrial workhorse and mechanical legend. From trucks rolling on tires the size of houses to mobile fortresses that look like they belong on another planet, we've just journeyed across the world's frozen extremes side by side with the greatest legends of polar engineering. These machines weren't designed for highways or trails. They were created for the blank spaces on the map, the places where almost no one dares to venture. Because in the end, they're more than just machines. They're proof of human determination, making it possible to build, explore, and survive where nature itself says, "Not here." And yet they go. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these ice giants stunned you the most? Which one would you love to take the wheel of, or maybe, which one did you never even know existed until today? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy discovering these extreme vehicles, don't forget to subscribe, turn on the bell, and join us every week for more incredible machines built to conquer snow, ice, and the harshest terrain on Earth. Until next time, stay curious, and stay unstoppable.